Okay, so these are the two new floats in my range. This one here on the right, on my right, is the river model, which is quite a short, fat body, which I've used on rivers. It's a bit like my hemp float and the chop float, to be honest. It's like a really stable body that just seems to work well in flowing water. So it's got a wire stem and a plastic bristle, which is quite long, which I think when you're edging the float through, holding it back in the flow of a river, gives you the opportunity to work on the bristle without the body of the float popping out too much, you know, or not popping out at all if you're doing it right. So that's a good versatile float for rivers. You could use it in still waters as well if you got wind and skid and all the rest of it. And if being a plastic solid tip, if you want to shorten it, just a pair of scissors, you can snip a centimetre off if you want to. Not too heavy a wire, and yeah, nice float. I had sampled, this is 1.5 grams. The float goes from 0.75 to 3 grams, and I used this very float, 1.5 grams. I used a sample of this float in the Riverfest final on the Trent at Burton Joyce roadside. I had 18 pound of quality roach in the final, which put me 4th on the day and 8th overall at the end of the 2-day final. So yeah, I'm happy with this float. I think it's a good float for river fishing, you know, maggots, casters, that type of thing. So that's that one. This is the lake model, which is a slimmer body, plastic tip, carbon stem. This is the type of float I would use. Well, you can use it in a massive array of sort of situations. So I've used this float in the past. On last year's King of Clubs, I had these floats and I used them for catching a lot of roach in lakes with a bulk rig all strung out in the smaller sizes. Again, a nice plastic tip, carbon stem. If it's strung out, it'll follow the shot. And compared with wire, you're not going to get the float flip over on itself when you're catching a lot of fish. So it's not as stable, it's a bit more finesse, but not too much. It's a good float for catching a lot of fish on, and it's a great float for fishing for skimmers on commercials in the winter. And this one actually goes from 0.75 to 3 grams like this one, but then it goes from 4 to 10 grams because it's a type of float you can use in deep venues, still all flowing to hand, like for example in Ireland, maybe in Escara. I just wanted to do one float in a big range of sizes to cover a lot of situations. So they're the two floats that complete my range for this year and sort of complete what I'm going to be using. You know, through the canal floats and these floats, there's not a lot of natural venue fishing that these floats won't cover.